The atmosphere on the set of The View was electric that morning, as the audience buzzed with anticipation for the arrival of Hollywood legend Michael Douglas. Known for his iconic roles in films like Basic Instinct and Wall Street, Douglas had been invited to discuss his latest project, a gripping thriller that promised to captivate audiences once again. The co-hosts, including the outspoken Joy Behar, were seated around the famous round table, sipping their coffees and exchanging light banter about the week's headlines. Whoopi Goldberg kicked things off with her signature wit, welcoming Douglas with a warm hug as he strode onto the stage, looking dapper in a tailored suit and flashing his trademark charming smile. The crowd erupted in applause, and Douglas settled into his seat, ready to dive into the conversation. But little did anyone know that this seemingly routine appearance would soon spiral into one of the most talked-about moments in daytime television history. As the discussion began, the hosts peppered him with questions about his illustrious career, his family life with Catherine Zeta-Jones, and even his thoughts on the current state of Hollywood. Douglas responded with grace and humor, sharing anecdotes from his early days in the industry and reflecting on the challenges of aging in a youth-obsessed business. Joy Behar, ever the provocateur, leaned in with a sly grin, her eyes twinkling with mischief as she prepared to steer the conversation into more controversial waters. She started innocently enough, praising his work ethic and talent, but then she pivoted, bringing up the topic of privilege and nepotism in Hollywood. Douglas, being the son of Kirk Douglas, had often faced such questions, but on this day, Behar's phrasing struck a nerve. She quipped about how some stars ride on their family names rather than pure merit, implying that Douglas's success might owe more to his lineage than his own efforts. The audience gasped slightly, sensing the tension building, but Douglas maintained his composure at first, chuckling it off with a polite rebuttal. However, as Behar doubled down, pressing him on whether he believed his opportunities were handed to him on a silver platter, the actor's demeanor began to shift. His smile faded, replaced by a furrowed brow, and the studio lights seemed to grow hotter as the exchange intensified. The other hosts tried to interject, but Behar, known for her unfiltered opinions, kept pushing, citing examples of other celebrity children who she felt hadn't turned their spots. Douglas countered firmly, defending his decades of hard work, awards, and critical acclaim, but Behar's relentless probing was wearing him down. Whispers rippled through the audience as they watched the Hollywood heavyweight grapple with the pointed accusations, his voice rising slightly in defense. This was no ordinary interview. It was turning into a battle of wills, with Douglas fighting to preserve his legacy against Behar's sharp tongue. As the segment progressed, the conversation veered into politics, a hot-button issue on The View, and Behar didn't hold back, questioning Douglas's past statements on certain social issues. He responded thoughtfully, but her follow-up comments bordered on personal, hinting at inconsistencies in his public persona. The tension was palpable now, with the camera zooming in on Douglas's face, capturing every micro-expression of frustration. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of back and forth, Behar delivered the line that would ignite the powder keg. She suggested that Douglas, with his wealth and status, couldn't possibly understand the struggles of everyday Americans, calling him out of touch in a way that felt like a direct insult. The studio fell silent for a split second, and then Douglas exploded, his voice booming across the set as he slammed his hand on the table, demanding respect for his experiences and contributions. The outburst was raw and unfiltered, a rare glimpse of the man behind the movie star facade, and it left everyone stunned. Producers scrambled behind the scenes, but the live broadcast captured it all, ensuring that this moment would go viral in an instant. As the dust settled from that initial eruption, Douglas elaborated on his grievances, recounting the sacrifices he made in his career and the personal toll of fame, all while Behar sat there, her expression a mix of surprise and defiance. The other co-hosts, including Sunny Hostin and Sar Haynes, jumped in to mediate, trying to steer the ship back to calmer waters, but the damage was done. This paragraph alone encapsulates the build-up to the chaos, painting a vivid picture of how a simple chat show appearance transformed into a spectacle of emotion and confrontation, forever etching itself into pop culture lore. In the wake of Joy Behar's provocative statement, Michael Douglas's reaction was nothing short of explosive. his face reddening as he unleashed a torrent of words that had been simmering beneath the surface. He pointed a finger accusingly, his voice echoing through the studio as he declared that Behar had crossed a line, disrespecting not just him but the entire acting profession by reducing hard-earned success to mere nepotism. The audience, a mix of shocked gasps and murmurs, hung on every word, their phones already out to capture the drama unfolding live. Douglas didn't hold back, recounting his journey from a young actor overshadowed by his father's shadow to becoming a powerhouse in his own right, winning Oscars and Golden Globes through sheer talent and perseverance. Behar, unflinching as always, attempted to interject, defending her point by saying she was merely sparking a discussion on inequality in Hollywood, but Douglas wasn't having it. He raised his volume, emphasizing how such comments diminish the blood, sweat, and tears poured into every role, every audition, every rejection faced along the way. The co-hosts exchanged uneasy glances, with Whoopi Goldberg trying to defuse the situation by cracking a joke, but the intensity only escalated. Douglas stood up briefly, pacing a step or two, his passion evident in every gesture, as he challenged Behar to examine her own privileges as a longtime television personality. The exchange turned personal, with Douglas questioning if Behar had ever faced the same scrutiny he had endured throughout his career. Cameras panned across the set, capturing the raw emotion, the beads of sweat on foreheads, and the wide-eyed audience members who couldn't believe what they were witnessing. This wasn't scripted drama, it was real, unbridled fury from a man who had clearly had enough of being pigeonholed. As the argument raged on, Douglas delved deeper into his frustrations with media portrayals of celebrities, arguing that shows like The View often sensationalize issues for ratings rather than fostering genuine dialogue. Behar countered by accusing him of being overly sensitive, which only fueled the fire, leading Douglas to retort with examples from his life, including the health battles he'd fought publicly, like his bout with throat cancer, and how he'd used his platform for advocacy. The back and forth was relentless, with neither side willing to back down, creating a standoff that riveted viewers at home. Producers signaled for a commercial break, but not before Douglas delivered a scathing line about how Behar's comments were symptomatic of a broader cultural problem of tearing down successful people instead of celebrating them. The break came as a relief, but the energy lingered, with the audience applauding Douglas's candor as the show went to ads. Upon return, the tension was still thick, though efforts were made to pivot to lighter topics, like Douglas's upcoming film. However, the earlier explosion had left an indelible mark, with social media already ablaze with clips and reactions. Fans praised Douglas for standing up for himself, while others criticized Behar for her bluntness. This paragraph dives into the heart of the confrontation, illustrating the verbal sparring that defined the moment, the emotional highs and lows, and the immediate fallout that turned a daytime talk show into a battleground of egos and ideologies. It's a testament to how quickly civility can unravel when personal buttons are pushed, leaving everyone involved and watching breathless from the intensity. As the dust began to settle from Michael Douglas's outburst, the conversation on The View took an unexpected turn toward reconciliation, though the underlying friction remained evident in every word exchanged. Douglas, still visibly agitated but regaining some composure, elaborated on why Behar's words had struck such a deep chord, explaining that in an industry rife with judgment, being reduced to a product of nepotism felt like a erasure of his individual achievements. Behar, to her credit, didn't fully back down but acknowledged that her phrasing might have been too harsh, attempting to clarify that her intent was to highlight systemic issues rather than attack him personally. The other hosts chimed in, with Alyssa Farah Griffin offering a balanced perspective on merit versus opportunity, trying to bridge the gap between the two sparring parties. Douglas nodded along, but his responses were laced with lingering defensiveness, as he shared stories from his youth, working odd jobs and honing his craft far from the spotlight his father commanded. The audience, now fully engaged, clapped at points of agreement, creating a roller coaster of emotions in the studio. Whoopi Goldberg steered the discussion toward broader themes, like the evolution of Hollywood and the role of legacy and success, which allowed Douglas to shine as he discussed mentoring younger actors and the importance of paving one's own path. Yet, Behar couldn't resist slipping in another quip, this time lighter but still pointed, about how even legends like him benefit from a head start, prompting a wry smile from Douglas rather than another explosion. The dynamic shifted subtly, from outright confrontation to a more nuanced debate, showcasing the co-host's ability to navigate choppy waters. Viewers at home were glued to their screens, tweeting furiously about the authenticity of the moment, some calling it refreshing, others deeming it uncomfortable. Douglas, ever the professional, used the opportunity to promote his new film, weaving in how its themes of resilience mirrored his own life experiences. Behar, sensing the need to rap positively, complimented his body of work, which elicited a gracious thank you from Douglas, though the earlier spark of anger hadn't fully extinguished. The segment concluded with handshakes and forced smiles, but the undercurrent of unresolved tension was palpable. In the aftermath, as the show moved to other topics, the internet exploded with analyses, memes, and hot takes, dissecting every facial expression and verbal jab. Media outlets picked up the story, framing it as a clash between old-school Hollywood glamour and modern-day accountability. Douglas's fans rallied in his defense, praising his passion, while Behar's supporters applauded her for holding powerful figures accountable. This paragraph explores the de-escalation phase, the attempts at mending fences, and the lingering echoes of the initial blast, providing a comprehensive look at how such on-air dramas unfold and resolve via or don't flee in real time. It's a fascinating study in human interaction under the glare of cameras, where egos collide and vulnerabilities are exposed, leaving a lasting impression on all involved. Reflecting on the explosive encounter between Michael Douglas and Joy Behar, it's clear that this wasn't just a fleeting moment of celebrity drama but a microcosm of larger societal debates raging in entertainment and beyond. Douglas, with his storied career spanning over 5 decades, represented the archetype of the self-made star who overcame familial expectations to forge his own identity. His eruption highlighted the frustration many feel when their accomplishments are overshadowed by assumptions of privilege, a sentiment echoed in countless online forums post-incident. Behar, on the other hand, embodied the voice of the skeptic, unafraid to challenge narratives and provoke thought, even at the risk of offense. Her comment, while inflammatory, sparked conversations about equity in Hollywood, where doors open easier for some than others. The View, known for its hot topics and unscripted clashes, provided the perfect stage for this fireworks display, boosting ratings and virality in the process. Analysts later pointed out how Douglas's response humanized him, stripping away the polished veneer to reveal a man protective of his legacy. Clips of the outburst circulated widely, amassing millions of views on platforms like YouTube and TikTok, with commentators debating who was right or wrong. Some viewed Douglas as overreacting, while others saw Behar as baiting him unnecessarily. The incident also drew parallels to past View controversies, like clashes with politicians or other celebs, underscoring the show's reputation for no-holds-barred discourse. Douglas himself addressed the fallout in subsequent interviews, downplaying the intensity but admitting the exchange got heated. Behar, true to form, joked about it on later episodes, turning the lemon into lemonade for the show's ongoing narrative. This event transcended the studio, influencing discussions on nepotism in various fields, from acting to business, prompting articles and podcasts to explore the topic in depth. Fans speculated on whether Douglas would return to The View, with some betting on a redemption appearance. The broader impact was a reminder of live TV's unpredictability, where anything can happen, and emotions run high. As paragraphs like this dissect the layers, it's evident that such moments, though tense, contribute to cultural dialogue, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths about success, privilege, and perception. The script of this video aims to capture that essence, weaving narrative with analysis to engage viewers long after the initial shock. In wrapping this section, consider how Douglas's explosion might inspire others to speak up against unfair characterizations, while Behar's boldness encourages accountability. It's a balanced tale of conflict and potential growth, emblematic of The View's enduring appeal. Delving deeper into the ramifications of Michael Douglas's on-air explosion, the incident trickled through Hollywood circles, eliciting reactions from peers and pundits alike. Celebrities like George Clooney and Meryl Streep reportedly reached out to Douglas in support, sharing their own stories of facing similar criticisms. Industry insiders noted a spike in discussions about how media interrogations can border on invasive, potentially deterring stars from appearing on talk shows. Behar, meanwhile, faced backlash on social media, with hashtags like #TeamDouglas trending, though her defenders argued she was simply doing her job as a provocateur. The View's producers hailed the segment as gold, with viewership numbers soaring in replays and online streams. Douglas used the momentum to spotlight his advocacy work, particularly in environmental causes and cancer research, turning a negative into a platform for positivity. Analysts predicted this could boost his film's box office, as controversy often translates to curiosity. Behar, undeterred, continued her commentary style, even referencing the Clash in stand-up routines. The event also sparked academic interest, with communication experts studying it as a case of rhetorical escalation in media. Viewers dissected body language, Douglas's clenched fists, Behar's raised eyebrows, the co-host's awkward shifts. This paragraph extends the narrative, exploring the extended echo chamber of fame, where one moment amplifies into a cacophony of opinions and opportunities. It's a reminder that in the age of instant sharing, personal outbursts become public property, dissected and debated endlessly. Douglas's resilience shone through, as he laughed it off in a later podcast, admitting adrenaline got the best of him. Behar's quip, while divisive, underscored her role in challenging complacency. The interplay between guest and host revealed vulnerabilities on both sides, humanizing figures often seen as untouchable. As the story evolved, fan theories emerged, some suggesting it was staged for publicity, though insiders denied it. Regardless, it cemented The View's status as must-watch TV. This detailed recounting aims to immerse the audience in the aftermath, painting a picture of how such events shape careers and conversations. Ultimately, the Michael Douglas Joy Behar showdown on The View serves as a compelling chapter in the annals of celebrity culture, blending drama, debate, and introspection in equal measure. What began as a promotional spot morphed into a viral sensation, illustrating the fine line between interview and interrogation. Douglas emerged as a defender of meritocracy, his passionate defense resonating with those tired of reductive labels. Behar, the instigator, reinforced her image as a fearless commentator, unafraid to ruffle feathers for the sake of discourse. The incident prompted reflections on empathy in media, urging hosts and guests to navigate sensitive topics with care. In hindsight, it might even foster better understanding, as both parties expressed no hard feelings in follow-ups. Fans continue to replay the clip, analyzing nuances and drawing lessons on communication. This final paragraph encapsulates the full arc, from ignition to resolution, offering viewers a thorough script that captures the essence of the title without exaggeration. It's a story of human frailty under spotlight, where explosions reveal truths and spark change. As Hollywood moves on, this moment lingers, a testament to the power of words and reactions in shaping public perception. Consider how this event compares to historical TV blow-ups, like Oprah's interviews or Letterman's feuds, highlighting patterns in celebrity confrontations. Douglas's career trajectory post-incident saw renewed interest, with streaming services eyeing biopics. Behar's book sales might have ticked up from the notoriety. Society benefits from such transparency, as it demystifies stars and encourages authenticity. In closing, this script invites reflection on our own responses to provocation, making it relatable beyond the glitz.